In Activity 4, Water Animals, Fish, students learn about the features that make fish well adapted to life underwater. Then they add platys to their aquariums and discuss the role of fish in an underwater ecosystem. You will need the following materials from the kit: Activity Sheet 4, aquariums from Activity 3, plastic dishes, magnifiers, dip net, platys, and a thermometer. You will also need to provide Activity Sheet 2, scissors, crayons, white paper, paper towels, glue, and spring water. To prepare for this activity, make a copy of Activity Sheet 4 for each student. Each student will also need his or her copy of Activity Sheet 2. Place the holding tanks containing platys and snails at a centrally located distribution station. Place a jug of spring water, paper towels, a thermometer, and a dip net next to the tanks. Each team of 4 will need their aquarium, crayons, 2 plastic dishes, 2 magnifiers, 2 sheets of white paper, and a small amount of glue. To begin this activity, draw a picture of one of the fish in figures 4.1 and 4.2 and ask students if they can name the parts of a fish. Students should be able to name the mouth, eye, fins, and tail. You may need to point out the gills and scales to the students. Tell students that in this activity they're going to examine a small colorful fish called a platy, and then add some platys to their aquariums. Next, divide the class into teams of 4 and distribute the materials. Also distribute Activity Sheets 2 and 4 and a pair of scissors to each student. Have students gather around the distribution station and discuss the variety of colors and sizes of the fish in the holding tanks. Ask students, do you know what your body temperature is? Tell students that we are considered a warm-blooded animal, which means that our body temperature is always between 97 degrees Fahrenheit and 99 degrees Fahrenheit, regardless of how cold or warm the air is around us. Then explain that a fish is considered a cold-blooded animal, which means that its body temperature changes in response to the temperature of the water around it. Place the thermometer in one of the holding tanks. After about a minute, read the thermometer. Inform students that platys are most comfortable in water that is between 72 degrees Fahrenheit and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Have students bring their plastic dishes to the distribution station and fill each dish with spring water. Use a dip net to quickly but gently transfer a fish into each dish. Tell students to place the dishes on a sheet of white paper. Ask students to examine the platys with and without a magnifier. Have them locate the eyes, mouth, gills, fins, tail, and scales, and then have them cut out the labels and glue them in the appropriate places on the activity sheet. Ask students, how would you describe the shape of your fish's body? Students should note that the platy has a pointed head and a streamlined body. Ask students to use a magnifier to examine the fish's skin, then ask, what does the fish's skin look like? Explain that a fish's body is covered with tough scales and a slimy coating, which help the fish glide through water and protect it from injury and infection. Next, ask students to describe how the platys swim. Platys, like most other fish, move through the water by flexing their muscular body and waving their tail fin. They may move slowly, dart about, or remain still. Ask students, how many fins do your platys have, and what are they for? Each fish should have a fin on top, 1 or 2 fins on the bottom near the tail, 1 fin on each side, and a tail fin. Explain that fins help a fish move through the water. The tail fin helps push it through the water, the fins on the side help the fish steer, and the fin on top keeps the fish from rolling over in the water. Next, have students locate the gills on both sides of the platy's head. Ask students, what do you think the gills are for? Explain that fish breathe through gills. A fish sucks in water through its mouth and pushes it out through its gills. As water passes over the gills remove oxygen from the water. As a class, compare and contrast a fish with a human being. Students may list the body parts they have in common, such as eyes, a mouth, skin, and bones. Elicit that both human beings and fish need food, water, and oxygen to live. Human beings are warm-blooded, while fish are cold-blooded. Humans live on land, walk on two legs, and breathe with lungs. Fish live in water, move by swimming, and breathe with gills. Have the teams retrieve their aquariums and gently pour the dishes of platys into them. When they have finished, ask students to add the platys to their drawings on Activity Sheet 2. Then ask, what role do the fish play in an underwater ecosystem? Explain that fish eat plants and smaller animals depending on their size. They provide food for larger fish or other water animals. When they die, their bodies decay and provide food to smaller organisms. They also breathe the oxygen that plants produce and give off carbon dioxide that plants need to live. Finally, have students return the aquariums to their storage place. Tell them that in the next activity, they're going to examine another water animal called a pond snail and add some of these creatures to their aquariums. To conclude the activity, rinse and dry the shallow dishes and return them, along with the magnifiers, to the kit. Store the unused spring water for future use. Collect the sheets of white paper and activity sheets. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.